Wednesday, July 15th, 2026. Today's World News Headline Summary. 1. CNN. 1-1. Sully Sullenberger announces early-stage Alzheimer's diagnosis. Captain Chesley Sully Sullenberger, renowned for the 2009 Miracle on the Hudson, has publicly disclosed his early-stage Alzheimer's diagnosis. The 75-year-old former pilot shared the personal news on his website, emphasizing that this progressive brain disorder spares no age group. Sullenberger poignantly described the devastating disease as an unwanted visitor at the door, yet he remains resolute in facing this new adversity. Drawing a powerful parallel to his life-saving emergency landing, he stated that just as courage can be contagious during crises, he intends to unite with others battling the illness. He strongly hopes his transparency will empower other families to step forward out of the shadows and seek necessary support. Vocabulary. Diagnose. Verb. 진단하다. He was diagnosed with early-stage Alzheimer's. Progressive. Adjective. 진행성의, 점진적인. It is a progressive brain disorder. Spare. Verb. 모면하게 하다. The disease spares no age group. Poignantly. Adverb. 가슴 아프게, 신랄하게. He poignantly described his ongoing struggle. Resolute. Adjective. 단호한, 확고한. She remained resolute in her final decision. Adversity. Noun. 역경, 고난. Courage is essential when facing extreme adversity. Contagious. Adjective. 전염되는. He proved that courage can be highly contagious. Empower. Verb. 자율권을 주다. The program aims to empower vulnerable families. 시사용어 해설. Alzheimer's disease. 알츠하이머병. 뇌세포가 점진적으로 파괴되어 기억력과 인지기능이 저하되는 신경퇴행성 질환을 의미합니다. 아직 완치법이 없는 대표적인 치매의 원인입니다.
Marco Rubio launches campaign to dismantle International Criminal Court. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has launched a whole-of-government diplomatic campaign to systematically dismantle the International Criminal Court, ICC. Rubio argued that the global tribunal is severely infringing upon American sovereignty by acting as an unaccountable arbiter of a new global law. The aggressive initiative threatens to withhold U.S. financial assistance and impose sanctions on allied nations that refuse to explicitly reject the ICC's jurisdiction. Human rights advocates fiercely criticize the unprecedented move, warning that it actively undermines the rules-based international order established after World War II. They accuse Washington of seeking impunity for alleged war crimes by outright attacking the established legal framework. Vocabulary. Dismantle. Verb. 해체하다, 무너뜨리다. He launched a campaign to dismantle the institution. Sovereignty. Noun. 주권, 통치권. The tribunal severely threatens American sovereignty. Unaccountable. Adjective. 책임이 없는. It acts as an unaccountable international arbiter. Arbiter. Noun. 중재자, 결정권자. The court acts as an arbiter of global justice. Withhold. Verb. 보류하다, 주지 않다. The U.S. threatens to withhold necessary assistance. Jurisdiction. Noun. 관할권, 사법권. They reject the ICC's jurisdiction over their citizens. Impunity. Noun. 처벌을 받지 않음. Critics say the policy is a pure quest for impunity. Framework. Noun. 체제, 뼈대. They are systematically attacking the legal framework. 시사용어 해설. ICC, International Criminal Court, 국제형사재판소. 집단 악살, 전쟁 범죄, 반인도적 범죄를 저지른 개인을 처벌하기 위해 네덜란드 헤이그에 설립된 상설 국제재판소입니다.
1-3. CNN publishes Memorandum of Understanding between the U.S. and Iran. A detailed draft of a 14-point Memorandum of Understanding MOU, between the U.S. and Iran has been leaked, outlining a fragile framework to end the 2026 war. According to the leaked document published by CNN, the U.S. would lift its naval blockade and release frozen assets, while Iran allegedly commits to abandoning nuclear weapon production. The comprehensive draft also outlines a critical 60-day window for both nations to negotiate a final peace settlement. Although U.S. officials quickly dismissed the leaked text as merely a political document, it reflects profound shifts in Middle Eastern geopolitics. Deep skepticism remains high regarding compliance, as conservative factions within both nations heavily scrutinize the tentative truce. Vocabulary: draft, noun, chowan, 원고. A detailed draft of the agreement was leaked online. Fragile, adjective, 부서지기 쉬운, 취약한. The document outlines a fragile diplomatic framework. Abandon, verb, 포기하다. Iran committed to abandoning its nuclear weapons. Comprehensive, adjective, 포괄적인, 종합적인. They aim for a highly comprehensive peace settlement. Dismiss, verb, 일축하다, 묵살하다. Officials dismissed the report as entirely incomplete. Geopolitics, noun, 지정학. It reflects significant shifts in regional geopolitics. Skepticism, noun, 회의론, 의심. Deep skepticism remains high regarding compliance. Tentative, adjective, 참정적인. Both sides initially agreed to a tentative truce. 시사용어 해설, MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, 양해각서. 정식 투약을 맺기 전 양측이 원칙적으로 합의한 내용을 기록한 문서로 법적 구속력은 약하지만 외교적 약속의 토대가 됩니다.
2. BBC 2-1. World Cup 2026. France, Spain, England, and Argentina statistical analysis. As the 2026 World Cup reaches its dramatic climax, statistical analysts have thoroughly broken down the tactical performances of the four semifinalists: France, Spain, England, and Argentina. Spain has notably impressed seasoned pundits by maintaining a remarkable unbeaten streak, relying heavily on structural discipline and high possession metrics. France, despite fielding a fearsome attacking trio, showed slight vulnerabilities in controlling the midfield pace compared to the Spanish side. Meanwhile, deep historical rivalries, such as the storied clash between England and Argentina, add intense emotional weight to the raw data. The advanced metrics suggest that while France are one of the most clear favorites, the tactical margins among the final four are incredibly razor-thin. Vocabulary: climax, noun, 절정, climax. The exciting World Cup reaches its climax this week. Pundit, noun, 전문가, 권위자. Seasoned pundits were impressed by their tactical play. Structural, adjective, 구조적인. They rely heavily on solid structural discipline. Possession, noun, 소유, 스포츠, 점유유. Spain is extremely famous for high ball possession. Vulnerability, noun, 취약성, 약점. The team's defense showed slight vulnerabilities. Storied, adjective, 유명한, 역사에 남을. It is a deeply storied clash between two great rivals. Metric, noun, 측정 기준, 지표. The advanced metrics suggest a very close match. Razor-thin, adjective, 극히 얇은, 아슬아슬한. The eventual margin of victory was razor-thin. 시사용어 해설, statistical analysis, 통계 분석. 스포츠에서 선수의 뛴 거리, 패스 성공률, 점유율 등을 수학적인 데이터로 변환하여 팀의 강점과 약점을 객관적으로 파악하는 방법론입니다. 2-2. FIFA to break rules in World Cup final as BBC and ITV prepare to make U-turn. FIFA is unilaterally preparing to extend the traditional 15-minute halftime break during the World Cup final to accommodate a massive Super Bowl-style halftime show. Curated by Coldplay and featuring global superstars, the unprecedented spectacle has prompted major broadcasters like the BBC and ITV to make a rapid U-turn on their initial plans. Originally intending to exclusively show football analysis, the networks will now broadcast the prolonged concert to millions of global viewers. However, the blatant rule breach has frustrated the International FA Board, IFAB, which cited a negative impact on player welfare and safety resulting from a longer period of inactivity. Anxious fans and managers alike are currently bracing for a significantly disrupted match rhythm on football's biggest stage. Vocabulary. Unilaterally. Adverb. 일방적으로. The organization unilaterally changed the official rules. Accommodate. Verb. 수용하다. 공간을 제공하다. We must accommodate a massive entertainment show. Curate. Verb. 기획하다. The special event was carefully curated by a musician. Spectacle. Noun. 장관. 볼거리. The upcoming halftime show will be a huge spectacle. Prolonged. Adjective. 장기적인. 연장된. A prolonged break could seriously cool down the players. Breach. Noun. 위반. The blatant rule breach heavily frustrated the committee. Welfare. Noun. 복지. 안녕. Strict player welfare should always be the top priority. Inactivity. Noun. 무활동. 휴지기. A long period of inactivity naturally causes muscle stiffness. 사여홀. IFAB. International Football Association Board. 국제축구평의회. 축구의 경기 규칙을 제정하고 수정하는 단체로 하프타임 15분 규정 등 경기의 본질을 지키기 위한 권한을 행사합니다.
2-3. One name at a time. How Die Zeit built a searchable database of Nazi party members. The German newspaper Die Zeit has successfully utilized advanced artificial intelligence to construct a fully searchable database of former Nazi Party, NSDAP, members. Transforming the fractured archive required processing thousands of PDF files containing scans of membership cards, many of which were written in obscure historical handwriting. The investigative team heavily relied on a combination of optical character recognition, OCR, and large language models, LLMs, to accurately interpret and digitize the delicate handwritten records. Despite occasional AI hallucinations, the robust combination of technologies proved remarkably effective in extracting structured data from visual images. This ambitious project definitively demonstrates how modern AI can serve as a powerful journalistic tool for historical accountability. Vocabulary. Database. Noun. Database. They successfully constructed a massive historical database. Obscure. Adjective. 모호한. 이해하기 힘든. The old letters were written in obscure handwriting. Interpret. Verb. 해석하다. It is difficult to correctly interpret the delicate records. Digitize. Verb. 디지털화하다. The museum plans to digitize its entire archive. Hallucination. Noun. 환각. AI의 오류 현상. The engineers work to fix the occasional AI hallucinations. Robust. Adjective. 탄탄한. 강력한. They developed a very robust technological combination. Ambitious. Adjective. 야심찬. It was an incredibly ambitious journalism project. Accountability. Noun. 책임. 의무. Historical accountability is important for modern society. 시사용어 해설. LLM. Large Language Model. 거대 언어 모델. 챗GPT처럼 방대한 양의 텍스트 데이터를 학습하여 인간의 언어를 이해하고 생성할 수 있는 인공지능 모델을 말합니다. 3. ABC Australia. 3-1. Unaffordable. Australia's broken housing promise. Australia's ambitious promise to solve its severe housing crisis is currently under intense scrutiny following a damning investigation by ABC's Four Corners. The government pledged to deliver affordable rentals by utilizing public money and partnering with private developers and major investors. However, the in-depth report exposes that these supposedly affordable housing projects remain financially out of reach for average, struggling citizens. Vocal critics argue the initiative has merely subsidized wealthy corporate developers without significantly curbing skyrocketing market rents. The meticulous investigation raises urgent questions about whether the nation's broken housing framework can be fixed using the very profit-driven market mechanisms that caused the crisis. Vocabulary. Scrutiny. Noun. 정밀조사. 철저한 검토. The flawed housing policy is currently under intense scrutiny. Damning. Adjective. 비판적인. 유죄를 시사하는. The report provided very damning evidence of systemic fraud. Pledge. Verb. 약속하다, 맹세하다. The government pledged to quickly build more homes. Out of reach. Idiom. 감당할 수 없는, 손에 닿지 않는. New house prices remain financially out of reach. Subsidize. Verb. 보조금을 주다. The state heavily subsidizes the public transportation system. Curb. Verb. 억제하다, 제한하다. They introduced strong measures to finally curb inflation. Skyrocketing. Adjective. 치솟는, 급등하는. People are struggling immensely with skyrocketing monthly rents. Mechanism. Noun. 기제, 장치. Market mechanisms alone clearly cannot solve deep poverty. Affordable housing. 적정 가격 주택, 서민주택. 저소득층이나 중산층이 소득의 과도한 비율을 지출하지 않고도 거주할 수 있도록 가격을 낮게 책정하거나 보조금을 지원하는 주택을 의미합니다.
3-2. Half of Parliament was drinking to cope. Former Prime Minister on the dark side of politics. A candid revelation by a former Australian Prime Minister has unexpectedly shone a bright light on the toxic and high-pressure environment of the nation's political landscape. In a recent interview, the former leader alarmingly disclosed that half of Parliament was drinking to cope with the immense stress of their duties. The demanding schedules, relentless public scrutiny, and cutthroat nature of modern politics have severely impacted the mental health of elected officials. This unprecedented public admission has sparked a nationwide debate regarding the dark side of parliamentary culture and behavioral expectations. Mental health advocates are now calling for structural reforms to better support the psychological well-being of those serving in public office. Vocabulary. Candid. Adjective. 솔직한, 숨김없는. She gave a surprisingly candid interview about her past. Revelation. Noun. 폭로. 뜻밖의 새로운 사실. The sudden revelation deeply shocked the entire nation. Toxic. Adjective. 유독한, 유해한. He ultimately resigned due to the highly toxic work environment. Cope. Verb. 대처하다, 견디다. Many people were secretly drinking to cope with the stress. Relentless. Adjective. 끈질긴, 가차없는. Public figures always face relentless media scrutiny. Cutthroat. Adjective. 치열한, 냉혹한. It is a notoriously cutthroat corporate business environment. Unprecedented. Adjective. 전례 없는. The pandemic naturally caused unprecedented global economic loss. Advocate. Noun. 지지자, 옹호자. Advocates are loudly calling for immediate and urgent reforms. 시사용어 해설. Public scrutiny, 대중의 감시, 검증. 정치인이나 공인이 대중과 언론으로부터 도덕성, 업무 수행 능력 등을 끊임없이 감시받고 평가받는 상황을 뜻합니다. Number 3. Australian story. His brilliant careers. Sam Neill. The renowned ABC documentary series Australian Story recently broadcast a deeply touching tribute to the legendary actor Sam Neill, reflecting on his dazzling career. The special episode, aptly titled His Brilliant Careers, intimately explores both his decades of cinematic success and his recent harrowing battle with a rare form of blood cancer. Neill shared personal insights into how confronting mortality profoundly reshaped his perspective on everyday life and the art of performance. Despite his severe health struggles, his unwavering passion for storytelling and acting remarkably remains perfectly intact. The poignant retrospective left viewers deeply moved by his resilience and enduring positive spirit in the face of absolute adversity. Vocabulary. Tribute. Noun. 헌정. 찬사. The beautiful concert was a tribute to the late artist. Dazzling. Adjective. 눈부신. 찬란한. She eventually had a dazzling acting career in Hollywood. Harrowing. Adjective. 끔찍한. 참혹한. The documentary details his extremely harrowing medical battle. Mortality. Noun. 필멸성. 피할 수 없는 죽음. Confronting personal mortality completely changes a person's life. Unwavering.
Adjective, 확고한, 흔들림 없는. He showed truly unwavering passion for his difficult work. Intact, adjective, 온전한, 손상되지 않은. His positive spirit amazingly remains perfectly intact today. Poignant, adjective, 가슴 아픈, 저미는. It was a poignant reminder of our fragile human lives. Retrospective, noun, 회고전, 회상. The Modern Museum hosted a wonderful retrospective of his art. 시사용어 해설, tribute, 헌정, 찬사. 어떤 인물의 위대한 업적이나 삶을 기리고 존경을 표하기 위해 마련되는 방송, 앨범, 행사 등을 뜻하는 문화예술 용어입니다.
4. The Korea Times. 4.1. Korea eyes 3% growth in 2026, riding on AI chip boom. The South Korean government has aggressively raised its real GDP growth forecast for 2026 to 3%, a significant jump from the earlier 2% projection. This highly optimistic upward revision is heavily driven by the surging global demand for artificial intelligence, AI chips, which has supercharged the nation's semiconductor exports. Fueled by this historic chip boom, nominal GDP growth is projected to hit 12.3%, marking the absolute fastest pace of economic expansion since 1996. Despite looming geopolitical downside risks stemming from the Middle East, financial officials believe robust trade conditions will effectively cushion the broader economy. Policymakers deliberately aim to reinvest the semiconductor tax windfall into future industries to sustainably raise the country's declining potential growth rate. Vocabulary. Forecast. Noun. 예측, 전망. The economic growth forecast was quickly revised upward today. Upward. Adjective. 위를 향한, 상승하는. There was a sudden upward revision in the official data. Surge. Verb. 급증하다, 밀려들다. Surging global demand inevitably led to higher factory output. Supercharge. Verb. 강력한 힘을 주다. The bold new policy will completely supercharge the economy. Nominal. Adjective. 명목상해. Nominal GDP growth essentially does not adjust for inflation. Downside. Noun. 불리한 면. 하락세. There are obvious downside risks in the volatile global market. Cushion. Verb. 충격을 완화하다. The unusually strong exports will certainly cushion the economy. Windfall. Noun. 뜻밖의 횡재 수입. The government smartly reinvested the massive tax windfall. 시사용어 해설. Potential growth rate. 잠재 성장률. 한 국가가 노동력, 자본 등 가용한 생산 요소를 모두 투입하여 인플레이션, 물가 상승을 유발하지 않으면서 달성할 수 있는 최대 성장률을 뜻합니다. 한국은 인구 감소 등으로 이 수치가 점점 낮아지고 있습니다.
4.2. Korea launches support system for nationals abroad ahead of military service. South Korea has officially introduced a comprehensive support system tailored specifically for male nationals residing abroad who are approaching their mandatory military service. The new initiative aims to effectively alleviate the deep confusion many expatriate youths face regarding highly complex conscription laws and administrative procedures. By providing streamlined online resources and dedicated personal counseling, the government hopes to facilitate significantly smoother transitions for those returning to fulfill their duties. Defense officials emphasize that clearly communicating military obligations prevents inadvertent legal violations related to accidental draft evasion. This fundamentally supportive approach is expected to foster a much stronger sense of civic duty among young overseas Koreans. Vocabulary. Tailored. Adjective. 맞춤에, 알맞게 조정된. The training program is well tailored for young overseas students. Alleviate. Verb. 완화하다, 경감시키다. The new medicine will surely alleviate your chronic pain. Expatriate. Noun. 해외 거주자. Many expatriate youths naturally return for military service. Conscription. Noun. 징병제. The country currently has incredibly strict conscription laws. Streamlined. Adjective. 간소화된, 능률적인. We need a highly streamlined process for these applications. Inadvertent. Adjective. 고의가 아닌, 우연한. An inadvertent error sadly caused a massive system crash. Evasion. Noun. 회피, 모면. Draft evasion is always treated as a very serious crime. Civic. Adjective. 시민의. Voting in an election is a truly important civic duty. 시사 용어 해설. Conscription. 징병제. 국가가 법률에 따라 자격이 되는 국민에게 병역 의무를 강제로 부여하는 제도입니다. 미국에서는 draft라고도 부릅니다.
4.3. Princess Anne visits HD Hyundai as UK seeks to revive shipbuilding. Britain's Princess Anne recently paid a highly publicized visit to HD Hyundai's massive shipyards in South Korea, underscoring the UK's strategic ambition to quickly revitalize its domestic shipbuilding industry. As the UK earnestly seeks to modernize its aging maritime capabilities, it is increasingly looking to South Korea, a reigning global powerhouse in advanced vessel construction, for deep technological partnerships. The royal visit perfectly highlighted a mutual international interest in sharing specialized expertise and rapidly expanding supply chain cooperation. Furthermore, this diplomatic engagement paves the smooth way for potential lucrative joint ventures in building highly sophisticated naval defense systems. Defense observers note that such robust alliances are absolutely vital for the UK to reclaim its historical maritime competitiveness. Vocabulary. Underscore. Verb. 강조하다. 밑줄을 긋다. Her powerful speech underscored the deep importance of peace. Revitalize. Verb. 새로운 활력을 주다. They aim to rapidly revitalize the struggling local economy.
Powerhouse. Noun. 강대국, 강력한 조직. South Korea is a true global powerhouse in modern technology. Vessel. Noun. 선박, 배. The busy shipyard continuously builds massive commercial vessels. Expertise. Noun. 전문 지식. They eagerly shared their advanced engineering expertise. Pave the way. Idiom. 길을 열다, 기반을 닦다. The meeting paved the way for several massive future contracts. Sophisticated. Adjective. 정교한, 복잡한. The Navy strictly uses highly sophisticated radar defense systems. Reclaim. Verb. 되찾다, 환원하다. The ambitious company eagerly wants to reclaim its market share. 시사용어 해설. Joint venture. 합작 투자. 2개 이상의 기업이나 국가가 특정 목적이나 프로젝트를 달성하기 위해 공동으로 자본과 기술을 투자하여 설립하는 연합체입니다. 5. The Korea Herald 5-1. Seoul extends honorary citizenship nomination period. The Seoul Metropolitan Government has officially announced a timely extension of the nomination period for its highly regarded honorary citizenship program until July 24. Launched in 1958, this enduring civic program passionately recognizes exceptional foreign nationals who have significantly contributed to Seoul's rapid development in sectors like economy, culture, and welfare. Over the past decades, 968 remarkable individuals from 100 different countries have been granted this truly prestigious status. By extending the strict deadline, city officials are actively encouraging everyday residents and local organizations to recommend dedicated expatriates who have noticeably elevated the city's global profile. The inclusive initiative brightly highlights Seoul's continuous commitment to fostering a genuinely welcoming, multicultural environment. Vocabulary extension. Noun. 연장, 확대. They surprisingly announced a generous deadline extension. Nomination. Noun. 지명, 추천. The wonderful film naturally received 3 Oscar nominations. Enduring. Adjective. 오래가는, 지속되는. The program definitely has an enduring legacy in the city. Exceptional. Adjective. 예외적인, 뛰어난.
She is an absolutely exceptional student with great talent. Prestigious. Adjective. 명망 있는. 인류의. He proudly won a highly prestigious award for his research. Elevate. Verb. 높이다. 승격시키다. His endless efforts significantly elevated the city's global profile. Foster. Verb. 육성하다. 조성하다. The modern school actively fosters a very welcoming environment. Multicultural. Adjective. 다문화의.
We happily live in a vibrant, rapidly growing multicultural society. 시사 용어 해설. Honorary citizenship. 명예시민권. 실제 국적 취득이나 참정권을 부여하는 것은 아니지만 도시나 국가에 지대한 공로를 세운 외국인에게 감사의 의미로 상징적으로 부여하는 영예로운 칭호입니다. 5.2. Korea lifts growth outlook. Bets big on chip boom. South Korea is betting heavily on a surging global semiconductor boom, officially lifting its 2026 economic growth forecast to a robust 3%. Forward-looking policymakers expect a staggering 40% jump in exports and a record $290 billion current account surplus, almost entirely fueled by advanced AI memory chips. To strategically capitalize on this momentum, the government boldly unveiled its ambitious 3-4-5 vision, which strictly aims for a 3% potential growth rate, top 4 global exporter status, and a $50,000 per capita income. However, honest officials acknowledged a stark structural imbalance. The highly capital-intensive chip industry will not easily translate proportionally into broad job creation for the masses. Thus, massive future tax windfalls will be carefully injected into a new fund designed specifically to support youth and lagging regional economies. Vocabulary. Bet on. Phrasal verb. 뭐뭐에 베팅하다. 기대를 걸다. The tech company is strongly betting on renewable energy. Staggering. Adjective. 믿기 어려운. 경이적인. The building project costs a truly staggering amount of money. Fuel. Verb. 활기를 불어넣다. 부채질하다. The growth was largely fueled by very strong consumer spending. Capitalize on. Idiom. 뭐뭇을 이용하다. 기회로 삼다. We must cleverly capitalize on this exciting new market trend. Per capita. Adverb/adjective. 1인당. The small country's per capita income is historically very high. Acknowledge. Verb. 인정하다. The senior official openly acknowledged the structural problems. Capital intensive. Adjective. 자본 집약적인. Semiconductor manufacturing is a highly capital intensive industry. Proportionally. Adverb. 비례하여. Minimum wages have not increased proportionally with inflation prices. 시사용어 해설. Current account surplus. 경상수지 흑자. 한 국가가 상품과 서비스를 외국에 팔아 벌어들인 외화가 외국에서 수입하여 지출한 외화보다 더 많아서 이익을 남긴 긍정적인 경제 상태를 의미합니다. 5.3. Trump drops 20% Hormuz fee. U.S. naval blockade against Iran resumes. U.S. President Donald Trump has effectively scrapped his highly controversial proposal to charge a hefty 20% reimbursement fee on commercial vessels navigating the Strait of Hormuz. Following intensive and delicate talks with Middle Eastern leaders, Trump proudly announced he would replace the unprecedented toll with massive trade and investment deals from Gulf states directed heavily into the U.S. economy. He reasoned that securing direct financial investments was a far better alternative to forcefully charging transit fees on international waterways. Concurrently, rapidly escalating regional hostilities led the U.S. military to officially resume its formidable and wide-scale naval blockade of Iranian ports. Dozens of heavily armed warships are now deployed, brutally crushing hopes of a lasting peace following the collapse of a brief diplomatic ceasefire. Vocabulary. Scrap. Verb. 폐기하다. 철회하다. The government finally scrapped the highly unpopular tax plan. Controversial. Adjective. 논란이 많은. The newly proposed policy proved to be highly controversial. Reimbursement. Noun. 변제. 배상. He angrily demanded full reimbursement for the unexpected damages. Alternative. Noun. 태양. Solar energy is considered a good alternative to burning fossil fuels. Concurrently. Adverb. 동시에.
The two important political meetings were held concurrently. Hostility. Noun. 적대감, 교전. Violent hostilities unexpectedly broke out at the border yesterday. Formidable. Adjective. 가공할 만한, 만만치 않은. They bravely faced a truly formidable enemy naval fleet. Blockade. Noun. 봉쇄. The military immediately imposed a strict naval blockade on the port.
6. CGTN 6-1. ASEAN SecGen optimistic on concluding South China Sea COC. The Secretary-General of ASEAN has publicly expressed strong optimism regarding the imminent and successful conclusion of the long-awaited Code of Conduct, COC, for the South China Sea. A decade after a major international tribunal ruling, highly sensitive territorial disputes and maritime tensions in the region have unfortunately only escalated. In direct response, China and ASEAN member states are currently racing to finalize a diplomatic framework that aligns firmly and clearly with established international law. The Secretary-General passionately emphasized his long-term vision of transforming the highly contested waters into a true sea of peace, friendship, and cooperation. The successful future implementation of the COC would undeniably mark a monumental step toward enduring regional stability. Vocabulary. Optimism. Noun. 낙관주의, 낙관론. There is growing widespread optimism about the recovering economy. Imminent. Adjective. 임박한. The formal conclusion of the peace treaty is highly imminent. Territorial. Adjective. 영토의. They are trying desperately to resolve the old territorial dispute. Align with. Phrasal verb. A와 일치하다, 부합하다. The new rules completely align with global international standards. Contested. Adjective. 논쟁이 되는, 분쟁 중인. The remote island is located in highly contested international waters. Implementation. Noun. 이행, 실행. The successful legal implementation of the law is absolutely key. Monumental. Adjective. 기념비적인, 엄청난. This scientific discovery is a truly monumental human achievement. Stability. Noun. 안정성. Regional economic stability relies entirely on strong, consistent diplomacy. 시사 용어 해설. Code of Conduct, COC, 행동 강령. 무력 충돌이나 오해를 피하고 평화롭게 문제를 해결하기 위해 이해 당사국들이 반드시 지켜야 할 원칙과 규칙을 문서화한 것입니다. 6-2. China's new investment rules are about guardrails, not closed doors. China has recently enacted a comprehensive new regulation on outbound investment, aiming to build clear, protective guardrails rather than closing doors to global commerce. State media argues that understanding cross-border capital requires sophisticated oversight to ensure it remains stable, lawful, and genuinely secure amidst rising geopolitical tensions. The updated framework specifically addresses modern complexities, such as intellectual property compliance, sensitive data privacy, and navigating international sanctions-related risks. By replacing legal ambiguity with clearer corporate responsibilities, authorities seek to shield enterprises from unmanaged vulnerabilities abroad. Ultimately, this strategic shift marks a critical pivot in China's economic governance, moving from volume-driven expansion to institutional high-standard opening up. Vocabulary. Enact. Verb. 법을 제정하다. The government recently enacted a strict environmental law. Outbound. Adjective. 밖으로 나가는, 해외로 향하는. Outbound tourism has steadily increased over the past decade. Oversight. Noun. 감독, 관리. Strict regulatory oversight is needed for the banking sector. Compliance. Noun. 준수, 따름. Ensuring strict compliance with the law is crucial. Ambiguity. Noun. 모호성, 애매함. The legal document was filled with confusing ambiguity. Vulnerability. Noun. 취약성. Cybersecurity experts must address every system vulnerability. Pivot. Noun. 회전축, 중심적 역할, 전환점. The CEO announced a strategic pivot in the business plan. Institutional. Adjective. 제도적인, 기관의. Institutional reforms are necessary for economic stability. Outbound exporter for economic governance, moving from volume-driven expansion to institutional high-standard opening up. Outbound exporter for economic governance, moving from volume-driven expansion to institutional high-standard opening up. Outbound exporter for economic governance, moving from volume-driven expansion to institutional high-standard opening up. Outbound exporter for economic governance, moving from volume-driven expansion to institutional high-standard opening up. Outbound exporter for economic governance, moving from volume-driven expansion to institutional high-standard opening up. Outbound exporter for economic governance, moving from volume-driven expansion to institutional high-standard opening up. Outbound exporter for economic governance, moving from volume-driven expansion to institutional high-standard opening up.
6.3. INPICS, China-Russia Joint Sea 2026 joint exercise concludes. The massive Joint Sea 2026 naval exercises between China and Russia successfully concluded on Monday at a major military port in Qingdao, Shandong province. Themed intensely around jointly responding to maritime security threats, the rigorous drills showcased seamless tactical coordination between the two formidable powers. The comprehensive at-sea phase included highly complex live force operations, such as joint reconnaissance, air defense, anti-missile strikes, and simulated submarine rescues. Following the official conclusion of the surface drills, select advanced naval vessels from both countries immediately transitioned into conducting joint maritime patrols deep in the Pacific. International analysts view this continued and deep military integration as a clear, undeniable signal of their robust strategic alignment against Western influence. Vocabulary. Conclude. Verb. 끝나다. 결론 짓다. The intense joint exercise concluded very successfully on Monday. Seamless. Adjective. 매끄러운. 끊임없는. The complicated transition between the two systems was seamless. Coordination. Noun. 조정. 공조. 협동. The elite team showed truly excellent tactical coordination. Reconnaissance. Noun. 정찰. The fast aircraft was quickly sent on a reconnaissance mission. Rigorous. Adjective. 엄격한. 철저한. The brave soldiers went through a highly rigorous training camp. Transition. Verb. / noun. 이행하다. 전환. The armed fleet smoothly transitioned to its next patrol mission. Integration. Noun. 통합. The close military integration of the two nations grew stronger. Alignment. Noun. 정렬. 제휴. 동맹. They visibly share a very robust strategic alignment today. Number 7. NHK World Japan. Number 7. 1. Bangkok pub fire kills at least 27. A horrific and sudden blaze broke out at a crowded pub in Bangkok, claiming the innocent lives of at least 27 people in a devastating nighttime tragedy. Emergency authorities heartbreakingly reported that terrified victims were trapped completely inside the venue, with some tragically found in windowless bathrooms that severely hindered any chance of escape. The raging inferno spread rapidly, giving frantic patrons virtually no time to evacuate the premises safely. This deadly incident has thrust Bangkok's bustling and highly profitable nightlife sector under intense public scrutiny regarding its shockingly lax safety standards. Outraged local citizens and reform-minded officials are now loudly demanding immediate, rigorous safety inspections of all entertainment venues to prevent future catastrophes. Vocabulary. Horrific. Adjective. 끔찍한. 무시무시한. It was a truly horrific accident that deeply shocked the city. Blaze. Noun. 화재. 불길. The uncontrollable blaze utterly destroyed the entire wooden building. Devastating. Adjective. 파괴적인. 충격적인. The sudden news of the loss was truly devastating for us. Trap. Verb. 가두다. 갇히게 하다. Panic-stricken people were helplessly trapped inside the burning pub. Hinder. Verb. 방해하다. 저해하다. The total lack of windows severely hindered their fast escape. Inferno. Noun. 걷잡을 수 없이 큰 불. The brave firefighters struggled all night to control the inferno. Lax. Adjective. 느슨한. 규율이 해이한. The senseless tragedy was clearly caused by very lax safety rules. Catastrophe. Noun. 대참사. 재앙. We must prepare properly to prevent a future urban catastrophe. 시사유머 해설. Scrutiny. 정밀조사. 감시. 정부기관이나 언론, 대중이 어떤 사회적 문제, 여기서는 부실한 소방 규제를 철저하고 꼼꼼하게 따져보며 비판하는 행위를 말합니다.
Bout of the day.
Day 2 of the July 2026 Grand Sumo Tournament. The highly anticipated July 2026 Grand Sumo Tournament, officially known as the Nagoya Basho, is well underway, showcasing incredibly intense matches on its thrilling second day. Top-tier traditional wrestlers, respectfully known as rikishi, displayed an overwhelming show of brute strength as they violently collided in the ring to fiercely compete for the prized Emperor's Cup. The massive tournament spans 15 grueling consecutive days, deeply testing the absolute physical and mental endurance of every dedicated competitor. NHK World Japan generously broadcasts daily play-by-play highlights in English to bring the visceral action directly to an international audience. This expansive coverage offers global viewers a rare, dynamic glimpse into Japan's sacred national sport, which proudly boasts over 1,500 years of rich tradition. Vocabulary. Underway. Adjective. 진행 중인. The massive international tournament is already well underway today. Top tier. Adjective. 최고 등급의, 인류의. Only elite, top-tier wrestlers are allowed to compete in this event. Overwhelming. Adjective. 압도적인. He finally won the match with an overwhelming show of pure strength. Collide. Verb. 충돌하다. 부딪히다. The two giant athletes collided heavily in the center of the ring. Span. Verb. 기간을 포괄하다. The cultural event spans a total of 15 very tiring days. Grueling. Adjective. 녹초로 만드는. 고댕. It is truly a grueling physical test of human endurance. Dynamic. Adjective. 역동적인. The live broadcast offers a highly dynamic view of the sport. Boast. Verb. 자랑하다. 지니다. The sport proudly boasts a documented history of 1,500 years. 시사 용어 해설. Play-by-play. 스포츠 상세 실황 중계. 스포츠 경기 중에 일어나는 선수의 모든 동작, 득점 상황, 전술 변화 등을 아나운서가 하나하나 생동감 넘치게 설명해주는 중계 방식을 의미합니다.
7.3. The Online Casino Crisis in the Philippines. Asia Insight. The Philippines is currently grappling with a severe socioeconomic crisis, driven by the rampant and unchecked proliferation of illegal online casinos. Cleverly disguised as legitimate offshore gaming operators, many of these ruthless illicit syndicates have deeply embedded themselves in highly serious transnational crimes. Recent government crackdowns have alarmingly uncovered horrifying operational links to brutal human trafficking, forced labor, and vast cyber fraud networks spanning Asia. NHK's renowned Asia Insight program documented this truly disturbing reality, explicitly showing how vulnerable foreign workers are lured in with false promises and trapped by these criminal enterprises. The Philippine government now faces mounting international pressure to decisively eradicate these underground operations and immediately restore the rule of law. Vocabulary. Grapple with. Phrasal verb. 뭐뭐와 고심하다. The country is grappling with an unprecedented economic crisis. Rampant. Adjective. 걷잡을 수 없는, 만연한. Rampant political corruption is rapidly ruining the entire economy. Proliferation. Noun. 확산, 급증. The dangerous proliferation of online casinos is a huge problem. Legitimate. Adjective. 합법적인, 정당한. They cunningly disguise the casino as a fully legitimate business. Syndicate. Noun. 범죄 조직, 연합체. The police finally arrested key members of a gambling syndicate. Transnational. Adjective. 초국가적인. They are deeply involved in several complex transnational crimes. Lure. Verb. 유혹하다, 꿰다. Innocent workers were easily lured with completely false promises. Eradicate. Verb. 근절하다, 뿌리 뽑다. The government officially vowed to eradicate human trafficking forever. 시사용어 해설. Human trafficking, 인신매매. 사람을 물건처럼 취급하여 강제 노동이나 성착취 등을 목적으로 유괴, 감금하거나 불법으로 거래하는 가장 심각한 형태의 현대판 노예 범죄이자 인권 유린입니다.
8. AlJazeera.com. 8.1. U.S. launches new wave of strikes against Iran, aimed at degrading military. The United States has rapidly launched a fierce new wave of coordinated airstrikes against Iran, systematically aiming to degrade Tehran's growing military capabilities. U.S. Central Command confirmed that the intense early morning fusillade targeted approximately 140 distinct military sites, including drone, missile, and critical naval operation hubs. This highly aggressive maneuver was directly ordered to ensure the free and safe transit of commercial mariners through the vital Strait of Hormuz, which Iran aggressively claims to have shut down. The escalating tit-for-tat violence comes just weeks after a fragile interim ceasefire agreement dramatically collapsed in failure. Worried international observers fear that this sharp escalation has entirely shattered the recent diplomatic memorandum, pushing the volatile region dangerously closer to an all-out war. Vocabulary. Degrade. Verb. 저하시키다, 무력화하다. The strikes were aimed at completely degrading their military. Fusillade. Noun. 일제사격, 포화. An intense early morning fusillade targeted the enemy bases. Maneuver. Noun. 전술, 움직임. It was a highly
8.2. Politics, refereeing, prices. The biggest controversies of 2026 World Cup. The 2026 FIFA World Cup has been intensely captivating for billions, yet heavily marred by a complex series of significant controversies, both off and on the pitch. Al Jazeera thoroughly broke down the global tournament's biggest issues, actively highlighting severe debates over stubbornly inconsistent refereeing and highly contested offside calls. Beyond mere technical complaints, passionate fans have expressed deep outrage over exorbitant ticket prices that unfairly price out average, loyal supporters. The sporting event has also unexpectedly become a highly politically charged arena, particularly with fans boldly using the global stage to display Palestinian flags and loudly voice political stances. Outspoken critics argue that FIFA acts far more as an influential political tool than a truly independent sporting organization. Vocabulary. Captivating. Adjective. 미혹적인, 마음을 사로잡는. The World Cup matches were highly captivating for everyone. Mar. Verb. 손상시키다, 망치다. The cheerful festival was marred by violent political protests. Inconsistent. Adjective. 일관성 없는. Fans complained endlessly about the noticeably inconsistent refereeing. Contested. Adjective. 논란이 되는. There was a highly contested offside call near the end. Exorbitant. Adjective. 과도한, 터무니없는. The hotel charged wildly exorbitant prices during the event. Price out. Phrasal verb. 가격이 비싸서 배제하다. Unfairly high rents inevitably price out many local residents. Politically charged. Adjective. 정치적 색채를 띠는. The simple issue has quickly become heavily politically charged.
Stance. Noun. 입장, 태도. Brave fans voiced their political stances clearly and loudly. 시사용어 해설. Exorbitant. 터무니없이 비싼. 물건 가격이나 서비스 요금 등이 합리적으로 용인될 수 있는 수준을 지나치게 벗어나 터무니없이 비쌀 때 부정적인 뉘앙스를 담아 사용하는 형용사입니다. 8.3. In Iran, Pezeshkian will be the scapegoat for the failed MOU. As the once promising interim peace agreement with the U.S. rapidly crumbles, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian is poised to become the ultimate political scapegoat. According to an insightful Al Jazeera opinion column, unfairly blaming the reformist president serves as a highly convenient smokescreen to successfully obscure deep-seated tensions among fiercely competing political factions in Tehran. Hardliners are skillfully deflecting all responsibility for the catastrophic diplomatic failure of the 14-point MOU, directing enormous public anger strictly toward the executive office. The sudden collapse of the deal, which promised to lift crushing sanctions and end the war, has left ordinary citizens highly frustrated and economically desperate. Analysts gravely warn that blindly sacrificing Pezeshkian will not resolve the massive structural domestic and international crises Iran currently faces. Vocabulary: crumble. Verb: 무너지다, 붕괴하다. The peace agreement sadly started to crumble very quickly. Scapegoat. Noun: 희생양. The innocent manager was made a convenient scapegoat for the loss. Smokescreen. Noun: 연막, 위장. The speech was just a political smokescreen to hide the truth. Obscure. Verb: 가리다, 흐리게 하다. The dark clouds obscured the beautiful view of the bright stars. Faction. Noun: 파벌, 파당. Competing political factions in the capital are deeply divided today. Deflect. Verb: 방향을 돌리다, 회피하다. He cunningly tried to deflect blame onto his younger colleagues. Catastrophic. Adjective: 비참한, 파멸적인. The economic policy eventually ended in a truly catastrophic failure. Frustrate. Verb: 좌절감을 주다. The absolute lack of progress highly frustrated the tired citizens. Scapegoat. 희생양. 원래 고대 유대교 의식에서 사람들의 죄를 대신 짊어지고 광야로 쫓겨난 염소에서 유래한 말로 단체나 정부의 잘못에 대한 책임을 억울하게 뒤집어 쓰는 사람을 뜻합니다.
92. American Jesse Marsh named Canadian men's soccer coach through 2026 World Cup. Canada Soccer has officially named American tactician Jesse Marsh as the new head coach of the men's national team to lead them through the highly anticipated 2026 World Cup. Marsh brings invaluable high-level coaching experience from top-tier European leagues in England, Germany, and Austria, marking a significant step forward for the ambitious Canadian squad. The governing body, which has been severely battered by persistent financial woes, was able to secure his impressive contract thanks to major philanthropic contributions. Wealthy owners of the 3 Canadian-based MLS clubs stepped in to privately fund the transformational leader's salary. Fans and players are exceptionally optimistic that Marsh will successfully drive profound progress and competitive credibility on the global stage. Vocabulary: tactician. Noun: 전술가. The coach is known as a brilliant football tactician. Invaluable. Adjective: 매우 귀중한. His advice was truly invaluable to the young players. Top tier. Adjective: 최고 등급의. He managed several top-tier clubs in Europe recently. Battered. Adjective: 타격을 입은. The battered economy is finally starting to recover. Philanthropic. Adjective: 자선의, 박애주의의. The billionaire made a huge philanthropic contribution. Transformational. Adjective: 변화를 일으키는. They need a transformational leader to fix the crisis. Credibility. Noun: 신뢰성. The team wants to gain competitive credibility worldwide. Profound. Adjective: 심오한, 엄청난. The new strategy had a profound effect on sales. 시사 용어 해설. Philanthropic contribution. 자선 기부. 공익을 목적으로 대가 없이 자금을 기부하는 행위를 뜻합니다. 스포츠협회의 재정난을 기업가들이 순수한 목적으로 지원한 매우 이례적인 사례입니다.
9-3. Thousands of hogs killed in massive barn fire. A massive barn fire has sadly resulted in the tragic deaths of thousands of hogs, utterly devastating a quiet local farming community. Emergency responders rushed swiftly to the rural property, but upon immediate arrival, they found the immense agricultural facility completely engulfed in roaring flames. The fire spread with such ferocious and terrifying speed that rescuing the trapped livestock inside became an absolutely impossible task for the brave firefighters. Authorities are currently conducting a highly thorough investigation to accurately determine the precise cause of the sudden blaze. The horrible incident represents not only a heartbreaking loss of animal life, but also an insurmountable financial blow to the affected agricultural business. Vocabulary. Barn. Noun. 헛간, 외양간. The animals were safely kept inside the wooden barn. Hog. Noun. 돼지. Thousands of hogs were tragically killed in the fire. Engulf. Verb. 완전히 에워싸다, 휩싸다. The whole building was engulfed in massive hot flames. Ferocious. Adjective. 맹렬한, 흉포한. The terrifying fire spread at a truly ferocious speed. Livestock. Noun. 가축. Protecting livestock is absolutely crucial for rural farmers. Thorough. Adjective. 철저한, 빈틈없는. Police will definitely conduct a thorough investigation soon. Insurmountable. Adjective. 극복할 수 없는. They now face an insurmountable local financial crisis. Blow. Noun. 타격. The sad loss was a huge blow to the company. Livestock. 가축, 소, 돼지, 양, 닭 등 농장에서 상업적인 목적, 고기, 우유, 알, 털 등을 얻기 위해 집단으로 사육하는 동물들을 통틀어 이르는 농업 용어입니다.
10. DD India. 10.1. India gets first monthly services production index. 14 subsectors post double-digit growth. India's Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation has officially launched the country's first-ever monthly index of services production, ISP, to greatly strengthen macroeconomic tracking. The highly anticipated inaugural release revealed a remarkably robust performance across the vital sector, with 14 out of 19 subsectors posting impressive double-digit growth year on year. Notably, the accommodation and food services subsector powerfully led the surge, with an astounding 37.2% expansion. Other key areas, including retail trade and telecommunications, also showcased very healthy economic momentum. This new statistical tool provides eager policymakers and investors with crucial, timely data to accurately gauge short-term economic activity in India's booming service-oriented economy. Vocabulary. Macroeconomic. Adjective. 거시경제. It helps in significantly strengthening macroeconomic tracking. Inaugural. Adjective. 첫. 개시해. The inaugural flight of the airline was a great success. Robust. Adjective. 튼튼한, 탄탄한. The economy showed truly robust performance this year. Double-digit. Adjective. 두 자릿수에. The company happily reported double-digit revenue growth. Notably. Adverb. 특히. 눈에 띄게. The tech sector, notably AI, has expanded greatly. Astounding. Adjective. 몹시 놀라운. They achieved an astounding 37% expansion in sales. Gauge. Verb. 측정하다. 평가하다. The index perfectly helps gauge short-term economic activity. Service-oriented. Adjective. service 중심의. India currently has a heavily service-oriented economy. 시사용어 해설. Macroeconomic. 거시경제. 숲 전체를 조망하듯이 물가, 실업률, 경제 성장률 등 국가 전체의 경제 흐름과 규모를 다루는 경제학 분야를 의미합니다. 반대말인 미시경제, microeconomic는 나무를 보듯 개별 기업이나 소비자의 활동을 구체적으로 다룹니다. Number 10. 2. India lodges strong protest with Iran after Hormuz attack kills Indian seafarer. India has lodged a vehement diplomatic protest with Iran following a shocking missile attack in the Strait of Hormuz that tragically killed an Indian seafarer and injured several others. The Ministry of External Affairs explicitly summoned the Iranian Deputy Chief of Mission in New Delhi to directly convey its deep indignation over the strike on UAE-flagged commercial vessels. Strongly condemning the unprovoked violence, the Indian government emphasized that dangerous attacks disrupting free navigation in international waterways must cease immediately. Expressing profound concern over the rapidly deteriorating security situation in West Asia, India strongly urged all involved parties to show restraint and return to diplomacy for regional stability. Vocabulary. Lodge. Verb. 제기하다, 제출하다. India quickly lodged a strong diplomatic protest. Vehement. Adjective. 격렬한, 맹렬한. The citizens expressed vehement opposition to the new tax. Seafarer. Noun.
선원, 뱃사람. An innocent Indian seafarer tragically lost his life. Summon. Verb. 호출하다, 초취하다. The ambassador was sternly summoned to the ministry. Indignation. Noun. 분노, 분개. They clearly conveyed deep indignation over the incident. Condemn. Verb. 규탄하다, 비난하다. The UN strongly condemned the vicious terrorist attacks. Navigation. Noun. 항해, 운항. Free navigation is absolutely essential for global trade. Restraint. Noun. 자제, 통제. The government repeatedly urged all sides to show restraint. 시사 용어 해설. Summon. 초치하다. 외교관계에서 자주 쓰이는 용어로 한 국가의 외교부나 정부가 자국에 주재하는 타국 외교관을 관저로 불러들여 강력한 항의나 유감을 공식적으로 표명하는 행위를 말합니다.
10.3. Shivraj Singh Chauhan announces 82,000 crore infrastructure push for West Bengal. Union Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has proudly unveiled a massive 82,000 crore infrastructure initiative heavily aimed at accelerating economic development in the state of West Bengal. During a recent high-level meeting, he carefully reviewed 19 major projects encompassing roads, railways, coal, and natural gas. To bypass frustrating bureaucratic hurdles and expedite construction, the government proposed creating a dedicated state-level project monitoring group to streamline efforts. In addition to heavy infrastructure, Chauhan announced a substantial 8,508 crore financial package for rural development, targeting housing, agriculture, and women's self-help groups, SHGs. This highly comprehensive financial injection is expected to generate significant local employment and align the state with India's broader self-reliance vision. Vocabulary. Unveil. Verb. 발표하다, 드러내다. The minister proudly unveiled a massive infrastructure plan. Accelerate. Verb. 가속화하다. The new funding will greatly accelerate regional development. Encompass. Verb. 포함하다, 아우르다. The massive project encompasses both roads and railways. Bypass. Verb. 우회하다, 건너뛰다. They tried hard to bypass the slow bureaucratic hurdles. Hurdle. Noun. 장애물, 난관. Lack of consistent funding was a major project hurdle. Expedite. Verb. 신속히 처리하다. We truly need to expedite the slow construction process. Substantial. Adjective. 상당한, 실질적인. He announced a substantial rural development financial package. Self-reliance. Noun. 차립. The nation is striving tirelessly for true economic self-reliance. 시사 용어 해설. Self-help groups, SHGs, 자조 모임. 주로 인도의 농촌 지역 빈곤층 여성들이 모여 소액의 자금을 공동으로 모으고 이를 바탕으로 서로 대출을 해주며 경제적 자립과 창업을 돕는 소규모 상호부조 금융 조직을 뜻합니다.